Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Story Hour. My name is Meg Elison. I am tonight's guest host. My co-host, Daniel Marcus, founded Story Hour to help people stay connected by telling each other stories around this virtual campfire. So thank you for those of us who are returning, and welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. As always, tonight we're presenting two writers reading for their favorite nonprofits. Tonight's readers are Laura Pearlman and Shaenon K. Garrity. If you're fortunate enough to help others during this time, please consider making a donation to tonight's featured nonprofits, which will be the Sierra Club and the Cartoon Art Museum. So tonight's first reader is going to be Laura Pearlman. She is reading for the Brennan Center for Justice. Sorry about that. I think I've got options here. So the Brennan Center for Justice. The Brennan Center for Justice is a nonpartisan law and policy institute striving to uphold the values of democracy. Very important in times like these. With programs to protect and promote voting rights, fair course, legal reforms, and more, the Brennan Center works to craft and advance reforms that will make American democracy work for all. You can learn more at brennancenter.org. If you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to leave your camera on. It's really nice for our readers to see you and be able to connect with you as their audience. Please chime in the text chat if you would like. And if you're joining us on Facebook, thank you, but please understand we might not see your messages right away if you're putting them up there. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to tonight's first reader, Laura Pearlman. Laura Pearlman is the editor of Cat's Cast, a monthly short fiction podcast from escape artists. Her short fiction has appeared in Nature, Shimmer, Flash Fiction Online, and a handful of other places. Her lolcat captions have appeared in McSweeney's. You can find her on Twitter at Laura's Bad Ideas. That's at LauraBadIdeas. Thank you very much. And Laura, please take it away.
Okay, this story is called In the End, You Get Clarity. The first time Leopard Print Girl killed someone, it was an accident. She wasn't Leopard Print Girl then. She was Nicole Davis, an urban studies sophomore at the University of Chicago. When she got home for Christmas break, her mom told her things were getting worse at work. Her boss had found an opportunity to reprimand her the previous week when she'd taken her fourth grade class on a field trip to the Springville Winter Festival. The kids had enjoyed the sleigh ride and were looking forward to meeting a local celebrity. Andy Child, one of Mrs. Davis's former students, was a contestant on a new ice sculpting reality show. They were about to say hello to him when his sculpture crashed to the ground. He yelled something about sabotage and threw a ballerina head. Not the severed head of a ballerina, Mrs. Davis clarified, but the broken off head of a ballerina ice sculpture at one of the other ice sculptors. Then he grabbed a ballerina arm and swung it, missing his target and hitting an actual ballerina who was visiting the festival on her one day off after 12 consecutive performances. Passers-by grabbed ballerina parts, again from the broken statue, not the live ballerina, and joined the melee. Nicole's mom rushed the children away, but one of the boys was hit by a flying ballerina nose and got a black eye. She received a written reprimand for endangering the children. What? Wasn't the field trip approved? Yes, of course. The tyrant is saying I didn't move quickly enough. And since I'd had Andy in my class 15 years ago, I should have known he was unstable. The tyrant was the principal at East Springville Elementary School. His real name was Hiram Banks. Nicole had him for third grade back when he was still a teacher. Nicole hated third grade. She'd hated it since the day she said her mom was a superhero and Mr. Banks said she wasn't. Technically, he was right. Superhero is a registered trademark of the League of Superheroes, and to qualify, you need to have a superpower and use it in at least one documented act of heroism. Mrs. Davis's superpower was the ability to project low-powered lasers from her eyes. Pointing things out on a whiteboard and entertaining cats at a distance are not considered heroic acts. Instead of explaining this to Nicole gently, Mr. Banks made her write, "My mom is not a superhero." And since her mom taught at the same school, Mrs. Davis is not a superhero, on the blackboard 100 times. She had to write a lot of things on the blackboard that year. Nicole and her mom had a tradition of taking a long walk together whenever one of them got home from a trip. This time, Mrs. Davis wasn't feeling well, so Nicole went alone. She'd been walking about 20 minutes when it began to rain. Ahead of her, a small group of men spilled out of a bar. She recognized them, 3 school board members and Hiram Banks. Nicole had no desire to speak to Mr. Banks, but as she watched the men go their separate ways, she realized he was headed in her direction. He stumbled, he woved, and finally he stopped. He fumbled for his keys and pointed them at a car. A different car behind him chirped in response. Mr. Banks, she called, running up to him. Do I know you? I'm Nicole Davis. I went to East Springville Elementary, and my mom works there, Lily Davis. Look, why don't you let me have your keys and I'll get you a taxi. Nicole Davis, your dad was Tyrone Davis, right? Drove the school bus? Nicole nodded. Give me your keys. She held out her hand. You shouldn't be driving. Nothing wrong with my driving, Mr. Banks said. I'm an excellent driver, better than your dad anyway. Nicole bristled. The accident hadn't been her father's fault. The brakes had failed. The accident investigators confirmed it. Principal Banks had come to Nicole's house and presented her mom with a $10,000 check, a non-disclosure agreement, and his personal assurance that, effective immediately, the bus would be serviced by someone other than his alcoholic brother-in-law. Nicole was furious. A weird cold energy flowed up her spine, into her arms, and out through her fingertips. Mr. Banks collapsed. Nicole screamed. One of the school board members, Mr. Logan, ran back across the street to check on Mr. Banks. He was dead. The official cause of death was lightning strike. Nicole didn't remember hearing any thunder. The first time Leopard Print Girl flew, it was an impulse. She was still Nicole then. It should have been the start of her junior year, but her mom's illness had turned out to be serious. Nicole had moved back home and taken a job at the Springville Public Library. She was leaving work one day when a mouse fell on her head. On closer inspection, it was a catnip mouse. She looked down and saw at least a dozen cat toys. She looked up and saw a cat. Pyewacket, she said. Come down off the roof. The neighbors adopted Pyewacket when he was a kitten and Nicole was in 2nd grade. It was love at first sight. The two of them developed a routine. He'd hide behind a rose bush waiting for her to get home from school. She'd walk by, pretending not to notice, and he'd zoom out and tag her ankle. She'd throw a toy, he'd chase it and pick it up. Then he'd drop it and run back over to her. She tried to explain that the game would work better if he came back to her and then dropped the toy, but cats aren't known for listening to reason. Pyewacket was 13 years old now and still as unreasonable as ever. Come down, Nicole said, and I'll play with you. She waved the catnip mouse at him to show she meant it. She knew he could climb down easily. He'd claimed half the roofs in the neighborhood as his personal territory. She gave up and, without thinking, flew towards the roof. She was almost there when she realized she was flying. Then she realized she didn't know how to land. In her panic, she began flailing her arms and legs. This sent her crashing down onto the roof, leaving her with some bruises and scrapes, but no serious injuries. The catnip mouse landed a few feet away, unharmed. Pyewacket pounced and batted it off the edge of the roof. Then he walked over to Nicole and looked at her expectantly. When she failed to throw the mouse for him, he decided he had urgent business elsewhere. He strutted across the roof, leaped into a nearby tree, and climbed down. Nicole flew to the ground, landing on a hard-shelled plastic ball with a little bell inside and twisting her ankle. She practiced, of course. She learned her limits. She couldn't fly more than a few miles at a time or carry anything weighing more than a few pounds. The wind dried out her skin, irritated her eyes, and did terrible things to her hair. Still, she could fly, and that was pretty cool. The first time Leopard Print Girl deflected a bullet, it was a footnote in someone else's story. When Pablo Winterly slept, he dreamed of ice sculptures, caterpillars that transformed into butterflies as they melted, working bicycles, violins that produced music sweeter than any he'd heard while awake. He spent his waking hours carving ice and studying everything remotely related to his craft: botany, anatomy, and art history for inspiration, architecture, chemistry, and physics for technique. He played with the optical properties of ice, carving prisms that projected rainbows onto nearby objects, and lenses that produced comically distorted views of the world. He lived a comfortable life, supplying ice sculptures for weddings, parties, and charity events in the greater Springville area. At Winterly's 60th birthday party, Andy Childs struck up a conversation. Andy had just graduated with a fine arts degree and wanted to learn to sculpt ice. Winterly had been thinking, on this milestone birthday, about his legacy. He was proud of his creations, but they were ephemeral. The only thing of value he could leave to the world was his knowledge. He agreed to take Andy on as an apprentice. Winterly taught Andy everything he knew. He taught him to use chisels and chainsaws to create designs that were delicate looking but structurally sound, and to calculate a piece's melting rate based on its shape, the ambient temperature, wind, and degree of sun exposure. Andy learned quickly. He wasn't interested in understanding the theories behind Winterly's techniques, but he was good at executing them and memorizing any formulas he needed to know. After 3 years, he was a competent sculptor, but he wanted more. He wanted to be famous. When he heard about a new ice sculpture reality TV series, he was one of the first to apply. Andy did well on Ice Wars. He was good looking, did beautiful work, and always had a funny story to tell. Everybody loved Andy's stories. Everyone except Winterly. Andy's stories stretched the truth well past its breaking point. They painted Andy as patient and creative, and Winterly as a doddering old man well past his prime. During the semifinals, Andy used one of Winterly's newest techniques and claimed he'd invented it himself. Andy returned to Springville for the break between the Ice Wars semifinal and final rounds. He invited Winterly to his home for a chat to smooth things over. Andy offered Winterly an insincere apology. Winterly offered Andy his insincere forgiveness. Then the two men moved to a more comfortable topic: their designs for the upcoming Springville Winter Festival. Andy's sculpture was a gravity-defying ballerina, standing on point with arms curved overhead. Winterly's was a fantastical bird with the head of a hawk and a vast plume of feathers like a peacock's, with row upon row of grooves carved into the plume to form concentric circles. The entire bird was tilted forward as if pointing at something beneath it. At the festival, Winterly positioned his bird to face Andy's ballerina. Together, the two pieces made a striking tableau. The bird looked as if it might swoop down and attack the ballerina at any moment. If Andy had bothered to study any of the optics texts that Winterly had made available to him over the years, he might have noticed something odd about Winterly's sculpture. He might have known that a commercial Fresnel lens can melt copper at its focal point on a sunny day. He might have guessed the Fresnel lens, hand carved out of ice and made to resemble a plume of feathers, could accelerate the melting of an ice ballerina's ankle enough to seriously degrade its ability to bear weight. But he didn't know any of those things, so he didn't object to the bird statue's placement. Andy flew into a rage when his ballerina collapsed. He knew Winterly was behind it somehow. He threw the ballerina's head at Winterly and grazed his shoulder. Then he picked up an arm and swung it at Winterly's head, but it slipped and hit an off-duty ballerina instead. The Ice Wars cameras, there to record a feel-good segment about Andy interacting with a bunch of fourth graders at the festival, caught everything. He was convicted of assault on an elderly person and spent the next year's Winter Festival in jail. He passed the time designing weapons: ice daggers, ice bullets, ice crossbow bolts, and fantasizing about using them on Winterly. Andy was released from jail 6 months later. His ice weapon designs were beautiful on paper, but when he tried to create them, the ice daggers were always too blunt or too fragile, and the ice projectiles just wouldn't fire. In the end, he abandoned those ideas and bought a regular gun and a box of regular bullets. Andy brought his gun to next year's Springville Winter Festival. He shot at Winterly, who would be dead now if a woman hadn't tripped and fallen into the bullet's path. The woman was Nicole Davis. The bullet tore her shirt and left a bruise as it bounced off, but otherwise did no damage. Andy kept shooting. Nicole extended an arm towards him and, for the second time in her life, felt a surge of cold energy flow through it. He fell to the ground dead. An onlooker caught the whole thing on video. The first time Leopard Print Girl met with Mayor Logan, it was the path of least resistance. The festival video, uploaded with the title Leopard Print Girl Saves the Day, went viral. Leopard Print Girl became Nicole's superhero name. The mayor invited her to meet with him soon after. They sat on opposite sides of his enormous mahogany desk. He thanked her for her actions during the festival and then got down to business. As the city's resident superhero, he said, you'll need to deal with our supervillain. We have a supervillain? Yes, the Leech. He's threatened to vaporize the city block if we don't pay him $1 million within 60 days. Oh, him. He does that every year. The threats always made the local news. You should just pay him. That's what the previous mayors always did. He's done this 16 times now and he's never escalated. I don't negotiate with supervillains. Yes, but that's just an arbitrary, the policy doesn't apply to the Leech. He doesn't have any superpowers, so he's not a supervillain. He's a criminal mastermind. This administration has a zero tolerance policy towards criminal masterminds. Mayor Logan had lots of zero tolerance policies. That's why she hadn't voted for him. The thing is, he's pretty harmless. Credit card fraud and illegal gambling. Getting rid of him is more dangerous than keeping him around. When a city rids itself of a nuisance villain, there's an 80% chance that a real supervillain will move in to fill the void within a year. I wrote a research paper about that if you'd like to know. $1 million is a tiny fraction of the city's budget, and it's just a symbolic gesture to maintain his membership in the League of Supervillains. You just said he wasn't, it's an adjunct membership. Look, she said, standing. The best thing you can do for the city is just pay him off. And besides, I don't have any law enforcement training. Think about the insurance implications. And I'm only staying in town until she doesn't need me here. Then I'm going back to school. The mayor stood and walked over to the window. Nicole started to walk towards the door. Sit down, the mayor said. We're not finished. I've been thinking about the way you killed Andy Child. She winced. I had to. He was shooting at people. Not why, how. It reminded me of that night 2 years ago. Hiram Banks, I saw you. That was an accident. So you say, but you hated him, didn't you? Blamed him for your father's death? Maybe you planned to kill him. He wasn't my favorite person, but I didn't know. And your mother hated him too. Maybe she put you up to it. What? No, I was the sole witness. If we tell different stories about that night, which of us will have more credibility with a jury? She sank back into her chair. So you're going to take care of the Leech for me and anything else I tell you to do. Understood? Leopard Print Girl nodded. Good, he said. I'm glad we had this little chat. The first time Leopard Print Girl confronted the Leech, it was on the mayor's orders. She flew into his compound, making what she hoped would be an impressive superhero entrance. The main reception area was spacious, with sleek modern furniture and a rust-colored carpet that looked like it would be really good at hiding bloodstains. Leopard Print Girl walked up to the receptionist's desk. Hi, I'm here to see. Please have a seat. I'll be with you in a moment. Leopard Print Girl took a tissue from the box on the desk and blew her nose. She appreciated the toasty warmth of the office after flying through near freezing air at 200 miles per hour, but the sudden temperature differential made her nose run. The receptionist scowled at her. Step back, please. I don't want to catch whatever. I'm not sick, Leopard Print Girl said. It's just that I flew here and do you have an appointment? Receptionist squirted hand sanitizer onto her palm and rubbed her hands together vigorously. No, but I think he may be expecting me. I'm from the mayor's office. And what is this regarding? Extortion? The receptionist sighed. Don't you people read instructions? We stopped accepting hand-delivered cash years ago. Do you have any idea how filthy paper money is? Here. She handed Leopard Print Girl a card. Wire transfer instructions are on the back. Have a nice day. I'm not here to make a delivery. I need to talk to the lead. Do you have, oh, right, let me see if I can pencil you in. She tapped a few keys on her computer. How does 10:30 this morning sound? It's 10:38 now. Yes, you're late. I'll have someone escort you in. An armed guard led Leopard Girl to the Leech's command center, which turned out to be a large office with a door in the back that, according to the blueprint she'd studied, led to the Leech's living quarters. She counted 8 computer monitors spread across a variety of desks. A mahogany desk, just like the mayor's, a minimalist white desk, a standing desk, and a treadmill desk. Velvet Elvis paintings and a menagerie of taxidermied animal heads adorned the walls. The guard left Leopard Print Girl alone with the leech. He was sitting at the mahogany desk. His chair looked like the kind with 37 adjustment points, but no control interface because it senses the optimal settings for each individual and adjusts itself accordingly. Stacy tells me you're here to ask for a payment extension. You should fire her. The mayor sent me here to kill you. She paused for dramatic effect. I'm hoping we can work out a compromise instead. You can't kill me. The countdown has already started and only I can stop it. Leopard Print Girl rolled her eyes. Your security practices are pathetic. You shouldn't download games from untrusted sites, and you really shouldn't play your pirated copy of Candy Bird Sudoku Wars on the same system you use to control your super weapon. And seriously, birdseed is too short to be a good password, and it's in the dictionary, which is even worse. Changing the E's to 3's doesn't help nearly as much as you seem to think. You mentioned a compromise, the leech said. Basically, if you stop extorting the city, I won't interfere with any of your other business. In fact, I can help you. The leech leaned forward. As a spy in the mayor's office? Well, no. What I'm proposing is that I help you shore up your security and you pay me 20% of your net income. You want to work for me? It can't be any worse than working for the mayor. Do you know what my primary responsibility has been for the past 6 weeks? Hand delivering his daughter's wedding invitations. Apparently, a flying messenger is a status symbol. That doesn't sound, the worst are the out-of-town guests. I have to take a commercial flight and then fly the last couple miles under my own power. I almost missed my mother's funeral because my flight back from Tampa was delayed. Anyway, what do you say? I say no. You can work here as an unpaid intern if you like. And the annual extortion demands are a tradition. She could see now that her plan wasn't going to work. None of the plans would work. Not hers, not the leech's, not the mayor's. She wasn't cut out to be a superhero. Look, Leopard Print Girl, why does everyone call me that? My name is Nicole Davis. It's not a secret. You can't reduce my entire identity to a single ill-advised fashion choice I made when I was trying to hold it together while my mom was dying. She hated being Leopard Print Girl. She hated working for the mayor. She'd probably hate working for the leech even more. Okay, let's not get hysterical. This isn't hysteria. This is clarity. She let out a small laugh. That's what they should call me. Clarity Girl, Clarity Woman, Clarity. The first time Clarity killed someone, it was a step on a path of her own devising. She took a deep breath and another. She zapped the leech. She stepped over the lifeless body and aborted the weapon launch. She sat in his chair, her chair. There was a lot she needed to do. Change the passwords and security codes, get rid of any disloyal minions, hire new ones, redecorate. She'd definitely have to redecorate, get rid of things. The stuff on the walls, some of the desks, the dead body on the floor. She'd keep the chair though. She liked the chair. She couldn't remember ever feeling as comfortable as she did in that chair.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was very enjoyable. And I think you should always keep the villain's chair if you have a chance to do that. They have the best stuff. Always loot the villain's lair. So, a dear friend of mine and experienced San Francisco performer and MC has a trick that I love that I would like to employ tonight. Here on Story Hour, we typically take a breath in between stories. So, I'm going to lead everyone in taking a nice deep breath and expelling it on a positive thought. So, everybody breathe in and breathe out. Shut the fuck up. That trick comes to us from Baruch Perez Hernandez, writer, poet, genius. Our second reader tonight is Shaenon K. Garrity.
Hi.
Shaenon is reading for the Cartoon Art Museum. Founded in 1984, the Cartoon Art Museum has something for everyone, from comic strips, comic books, and anime to political cartoons, graphic novels, and underground comics. This unique institution houses approximately 7,000 original pieces in its permanent collection and attracts more than 30,000 visitors annually. The Cartoon Art Museum's mission is to ignite imaginations and foster the next generation of visual storytellers by celebrating the history of cartoon art, its role in society, and its universal appeal. You can learn more about it at www.cartoonart.org. Shaenon K. Garrity is a cartoonist and writer best known for the webcomics Narbonic and Skin Horse, and the graphic novel The Dire Days of Willowweep Manor. Mwah, what a title. Her next graphic novel, Steam, will be out from Simon & Schuster in 2023. She lives in Berkeley with a cat, a man, and a boy. Thank you very much, everybody, for bearing with us. Shaenon, please take it away.
All right. To whatever lives in the walls, please stop taking my half and half. Let's get this out of the way. I know you're there. Don't think I'm unaware of the scrabbling sounds, the walls creaking from your bulk, the way my razor in the morning is never exactly where I left it last night. Richard always said it was the building settling, as if a building, however old, could take apples out of the fruit crisper, but he was wrong about that, as he was wrong about a lot of things beyond the scope of this note. And since he moved out, I feel you've gotten bolder. I'm not trying to tell you what to do about living in the walls, I mean. I don't own the building. But when I came into this kitchen to pour my morning cup of Ethiopian roast and the carton of half and half in the fridge is empty, well, that ruins my whole day. It's no good with milk. I need half and half. Who returns an empty carton to the fridge? Do you know that's rude? That's very rude in our society. Anyway, that's all. And I'd feel better if you stopped messing with my razor. The tenant in 3B. To whatever. You didn't have to do that. Really, I just wanted to be left with an empty carton when I need some half and half in the morning. But this morning I come down and in my fridge is a brand new carton. So thanks for that. Tell you what, you need something? My fridge is open to you. I'm guessing you get hungry. You sound pretty big. My only demand is that you not leave me with empties. I've got my needs too, you know? And, you know, maybe you could do a little shopping once in a while or whatever it is you do. Ethan. To the tenant in the walls. I'm so sorry about Tuesday. When I called the landlord about a funky smell in the apartment, I honestly thought it was a sink trap backing up again. It never occurred to me that it might be you. You've been coming around more at night, haven't you? Are you here during the day while I'm at work? What do you do? Never mind. I know you won't answer. You never answer when I talk in the dark to the darkened living room, even when I can see the shadow in the corner that isn't shaped like my chair. I just find things in the morning. Polished stones and iron tools, sculptures, utensils. Is there a use for the knobs, the spikes? On the coffee table, fresh apples in the crisper. And on Tuesday, the super found clumps of hair and scales under the sink. I told him it was a friend's dog. He gave me the no pets lecture, but I don't think he believed me. He left in a hurry. I hope I haven't compromised your safety. You must be worried about the same thing because every night since Tuesday has been quiet here. I understand. Probably you have other apartments, other buildings, or is this your only home? No, forget the questions. I just wanted to let you know, if you happen to pass through and find this note, that the super has not been back and I will not call the landlord again. I have, however, purchased family-sized bottles of several shampoos and conditioners, which you will find in the closet outside the bathroom along with the towels. And if I happen to hear the shower running in the middle of the night, I will not get up to investigate. I'm sorry, but the smell is starting to cling. Sorry again, Ethan. To Wall Guy. You may have noticed that today I rearranged the living room. The love seat is now behind the sofa. The small lamp table is next to the love seat with just enough room for a bowl of apples, a gallon of milk, and several beers. The Golden Globes are tomorrow evening. I was going to watch them with someone, but there was a cancellation. Never mind the details. So I will be watching alone on the sofa with my own beers. If anyone sits behind me, I won't turn around. The red carpet coverage starts at 7. Ethan. Hey there. Amazing race again tonight. You bring the beers or whatever it is you bring, in the green bottles. The salty undertaste takes getting used to, but it's got to be at least 7.0, so no complaints. I'll be home at the usual hour unless something comes up at the library, but I don't expect any trouble once the senior book club meeting clears out. I'll be ordering a pizza. Don't panic when the doorbell rings. Last week when the Thai delivery arrived, there was a sudden stench like a skunk exploding in the kitchen. And afterwards, I found symbols scrawled in dark charcoal all over the walls. The parampak and pineapple fried rice I left on the lamp table disappeared where my back was turned, though. So presumably you don't have anything against Thai. You just get shy around people, huh? Anyway, anchovies on your half. I know how you like it. Be not quite seeing you, Ethan. Hi, just a heads up. Tomorrow I'm getting drinks with the new guy in 4C. No high hopes, just being a friendly neighbor. His name's Willem, just so you know. Grad student in physics or something like that. Cute accent. I helped him carry boxes of books up the stairs, and you know how I like a fellow reader. So basically, I have to take a rain check on Parcheesi night. Maybe Thursday? Later, Ethan. Hey. Sorry for coming late, early, whatever. Hope did wake up. Leftover risotto in fridge. Please clean up slime trail in case company. Good to get out of apartment. Sometimes right. Fun? E. Hey, roomie. Willem says he's been having vivid nightmares about a 5-dimensional city where cats with clown faces pursue him through Klein bottle alleys, nipping at his legs. He showed me the little bite marks all over his calves. I only bring it up because it sounds suspiciously like the places that sometimes appear during the commercials when we're watching TV. You remember last week when I had Hulu on and it switched away in the middle of a Geico ad? 5-dimensional Catman City. I assume that was you changing the channel. It was, wasn't it? Well, I'm cool with having it on our TV, but the dreams are freaking Willem out. I don't know how it is where you're from, but around here, we don't change the channel in people's heads. Oh, and have you seen the crystal spiral you gave me a while back? The blue one. It is perfect for unclogging the washing machine downstairs. Your roomie, Ethan. Roomie, look, I apologized for missing dinner. I didn't know you were making spaghetti and trapezoidal prisms. I'm not very good at reading those runes that only appear in the bathroom mirror, you know. They're backwards. And also runes. Yes, all right. I did promise to be home for dinner, and then I didn't, and that's on me. I'm sorry, I'll make it up to you, but it's unfair of you to take it out on Willem. Last night, he woke up screaming and babbling about the city again. I tried telling him to ignore the man-faced cats and get to the Green Mandala neighborhood that's always hovering over the Iron Bridge because it looks like it has nice bars, but he just stared at me. Now he's in a mood, and I don't think he's even noticed the mark branded on his back yet. There will be hell to pay when he sees that. It's immature of you is all. He does not need this. He's got to defend his thesis next month, and his car broke down. He's under a lot of pressure, is what I'm saying, without getting teleported into bad neighborhoods. Ethan. Excuse me. It's none of your business how I know what Willem screams in the dead of night. That's not the point. It's not your roommate. Milk, cereal, Life or grape nuts, no sugary stuff and no gray flakes in a pouch, half and half, bananas, frozen peas, baby lima beans, beer, gelatinous ovoid things. I'll be out for a couple of days and you never clean, so the least you can do is pick up some groceries while I'm gone. Ty, do not panic. Slight problem you may need to be aware of. Now that the medication is keeping Willem's night terrors manageable, and we found a hairdresser who is a wizard at covering the recent white streak in his hair, he's had space to think. Now he's asking questions. The scientific mind, I guess. He keeps demanding to know how I knew about the mandala and the bridge. I told him I saw them on TV, which is true, but he isn't satisfied. He has been poking around the building, drilling into walls. I don't know how long he's been at this. Possibly longer than I thought. Again, do not panic. Do not release the face cats or send his mind to the red alley. That is not cool. And anyway, it'll just raise his curiosity even more. I will try to get him focused on something else. The medication helps with that, and once the bites heal, he won't be reminded so often. I'll be home tonight. You want Thai? Let's order Thai and talk. Or I'll talk and you'll hover in my blind spot watching, your eyes reflecting like torches off those old green bottles. Just like old times. Don't panic. Ethan. Oops. He found the brand on his back. It's been spreading. And gotta smooth this over. Not coming home tonight. Dear Rumi, I know this isn't going to be your favorite idea, but I've got to come out and say it. Would it be so bad if you showed yourself, or at least let the neighbors sort of know you exist? What would the actual fallout be? It's just that Willem thinks he's going insane, especially since you left whatever it was you left behind the toilet in his bathroom, and I feel terrible about it. I hate the lying and the sneaking around. He's a great guy if you give him a chance. He can be overbearing, I guess, but that's part of his charm. And again, he's already stressed out from his thesis. I'm not saying we should all have dinner together, or maybe I am saying that. I don't know. I want to make this work for all three of us, and the current status quo is not healthy. The dishonesty is getting toxic, you know? Please get back to me. Lately, your runes have been cryptic. Your friend, Ethan? Dear Rumi, I've made a terrible mistake. Let me back up. No, never mind. I'm no good at long explanations. I may as well start with this morning after Willem ran out the door late for a semiotics class. It always seemed a little weird that he took so many humanitarian courses for a physics student. Gnosticism, linguistic anthropology, stuff about Joseph Campbell, but you know, to each his own. I thought it made him multi-dimensional. So after I left, I noticed he'd left his laptop behind, which he never did, and it was on, which it never was. So I went to turn it off, definitely not trying to invade his privacy or anything like that, just, you know me, just doing a favor. And that was how I saw his thesis. He chose this building over 2 years ago, turns out. It's mentioned in some 16th century manuscripts and identified in old maps. And there was a poem by a minor romantic who died of madness and consumption. Etude de Desolation, I think, was the title. But maybe you already know all that. It's probably old news in the elder city of Stebetnet. Anyway, it looks like Willem's been studying this for a while, studying our home. I can't say I understood his thesis paper. It matches the quantum gravity research I thought was his main field with a bunch of alternate universe models, Egyptian Berber mythology, syntactic theory, complicated math, and stuff I think he got out of old Tor paperbacks, to be honest. The best I could make out was that he discovered some kind of gate and came here to study it. He was expecting the noises and smells and dreams. He just wasn't as prepared for them as he thought he'd be. He wrote about you. I should wrap this up. There's only one page left in our We've Got a Latte to Do Today refrigerator magnetic notepad. So I told him I read his thesis. It turned into a scene. I'm embarrassed to say it escalated to me going full on Oscar moment and demanding to know if our entire relationship was just part of his research. He said, once you've been touched by they who walk between, what else could I do? The department had been demanding hard evidence. He said, You understand, I'll be defending my thesis in less than a month. And that's it. I'll get a new notepad tomorrow. Your trusting idiot, Ethan. Dear whoever, did you always suspect that something was up with him? Did you catch him skulking around collecting his precious data? Or did you just not like him? I liked him. I passed him in the lobby this morning. He didn't say hello, but he looked fine, like he was fresh off a good night's sleep and a plate of French toast. I'm surprised you didn't send him to the city. I know you promised not to do that anymore, but this whole situation has got to have you on edge. Good work resisting the temptation. It would have been petty. But I have to admit, I was tempted to ask. Your roommate, Ethan. Dear whoever, please stop by tonight. I haven't seen you in days. Okay, I've never seen you, but you know what I mean. We need to talk. Willem's been avoiding me in the halls. That's fine with me, but I get the impression he's up to something. Probably just me being paranoid. It's just me being paranoid, right? What will we do if he publishes his thesis? Will you have to go? Leave me some kind of message. Burn runes into the kitchen floor or scrawl on the walls in bile. I don't know what to do. Yours, Ethan. Dear whoever, where are you? Yours, Ethan. Dear Ethan, as I seem lately blocked from your cellular phone and social media accounts, perhaps the antique practice of the note slipped under the door will provide a more efficacious means of contact. I confess, in honesty, to feel particularly comfortable expressing myself in the appository mode to the point that I quite prefer it to common speech. Possibly my queer and curious course of obscure study, combined with my extended stay at this legend-haunted pile known to mundane thinkers as Pearlman Apartments, has intensified this natural tendency to the point of eccentricity. This I leave you to judge. My purpose in contacting you is not, as you may fear or hope, to reopen our prior relationship. I think that well behind us. I must instead address your disturbing reaction to the discovery and our subsequent less than fruitful discussion of my thesis paper. To be brief, William, I hear you. And any nameless reader who may by chance come across this correspondence in some future tome of scholarly letters of note, beg, you should seek help of a psychiatric nature. Whether you believe it, my feelings towards you remain those of friendship, of friendly concern, of avuncular well-wishing, of regard. Knowing firsthand the grotesque magnetic pool of this place and its more squamous inhabitants, I fear for your psyche. Over the course of mere weeks, I began to feel these uncanny effects, as well you know, and you, Ethan, have resided far longer than I. Nor is your mind as strong as mine, as honed by long study in the hard sciences to withstand affronts to Euclidean logic and to comprehend even the sublime. More than comprehend, but capture, dissect, and expose it to the disinfecting light of science. But I digress. There is no question in my mind that you have been in communication with one of they who walk between. How deep this communication and how long it has been allowed to continue unabated, I do not know. But from my research, I know that the power of the walkers and the clutching effect the presence of such entities may have on the ordinary, unschooled human brain. I believe, in short, that you are not yourself, that you have developed an abnormal fascination, an attachment to something uncanny, something beyond your understanding. You are in danger, Ethan. The particular attachment of which I refer may not be an issue at present, but if you persist in inhabiting this forsaken temple to the unearthly, allowing its unreal geometry to remold the very shape of your mind, you will only fall further from the normal capacity for human relationships. I tell you this only as a friend. Leave this place. Find a therapist. Best wishes, Willem. Willem. Christ, you're an asshole. Ethan. Dear Ethan, your reaction only proves my suspicions correct. What I wrote strictly out of respect for our former relationship and what lingering tender concern I might harbor toward your well-being. That you chose to respond so irrationally tells me I can do no more. Not that I had any intention of continuing our correspondence. Just as well. My thesis is almost complete. I present on Friday. And, as intimated in my previous missive, the particular entry that has of late polluted your spirit and the apartment is no longer, for you, an issue. Feel free to do as you please. Farewell, Willem. P.S. I learned some weeks ago, with the aid of the dread grimoire Tor von Schotten, my copy of which was reportedly unearthed at Salem, how to block the dream paths of the Elder City. The method has quite cleared my mind and guarded my sleep. I may be willing to loan you photocopies if you find yourself troubled by similar afflictions from another of they who walk, as you doubtless will be if you stay here. But only if you apologize first. Willem, where the hell is he, you bastard? Answer your damn phone. Willem, I am not shitting around here. Willem, please get back to me. I'm begging you. You have him. I know you have him. Whatever you're planning to do with him, don't. He's so shy. He just wants to be left alone, watch some TV, have his coffee in the morning the way he likes it. Half and half, no sugar, stirred with a wand of yellow bone. Little things. Please tell me what you want in return. Anything. Just talk to me. Promise you won't hurt him? Ethan. Dear Mr. Lanigan, sorry to bother you, but for once I'm not writing about the missing recycling bin or fixing the sconces in the lobby. There seems to have been a break-in or something at 4C. I only glanced in, but it's a real mess. Books and papers everywhere, furniture overturned, burn marks. No idea how much was stolen. Maybe it was teenagers messing around. We get goth kids trying to talk their way into the building sometimes. Apparently they think this is some kind of mystical site. I don't know anything about that stuff. I'm just a librarian. One weird thing, there's a big cage or crate in the apartment. From my glimpse of the thing, it looked like it was broken open and empty. I certainly hope the tenant in 4C wasn't keeping some kind of big dog in there. I'm very aware of the building's no pets policy. I read all your notes about those cats people keep spotting. Anyway, the tenant hasn't been back. I think his name was Willem. We talked a few times. So please contact the police or whatever the procedure is for this situation. As a resident, I'm concerned for my safety. Your loyal tenant, Ethan, in 3B. Dear you, let's hope this teaches both of us the importance of communication. I should have been more open about Willem and the red flags he was sending up, yes. And you really needed to be clearer about a lot of things. Don't sulk. I can picture your spines rising as you read this. You know it's true. If you'd let me know how to open the gates to the Elder City and walk the paths between, just the basics for emergency situations, I could have gotten you away from that asshole so much sooner. For God's sake, he almost managed to exhibit you to his stupid thesis committee. He almost had proof. Good thing for both of us, not to mention the structure of reality, that he's such a blowhard. He may think his skin-bound, written-in-blood edition of Tor von Schotten is oh so special, and okay, it's probably a very impressive piece of incunabola, but it's hardly the only copy. I tracked out a grimy 1970s paperback translation through Interlibrary alone and learned exactly the same damn incantations he did and then some. Thanks to the illustrations, I realized the thing I've been using as a salad tong is in fact the key of Tasil, which helped open a lot of paths. Thanks for giving me that. You really could have let me know what it was for, though. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, I didn't leave Willem in the red alley. That seemed excessive. I put him in the tower with the orbs. I figure by the time we let him out, he won't be in any state to come off as a reliable witness. Trust me, no one on the earthly plane is ever going to find his thesis. You'll notice I've rearranged the living room again. The love seat is front and center, just enough room for two. I'm making spaghetti, and there's a bottle of Pinot Noir breathing on the coffee table. Sit down. We'll see what's on TV. Yours, Ethan. The end.
I cannot help but hope that they'll be very happy together for a long time to come. I want to thank both of our readers for spectacular stories and for fun stuff that makes us think about the true nature of villainy. That's not every story, is it? Laura, I love your assertion that superheroes very rarely get to decide how they're seen. Like, I don't think anybody gets to erupt and say, I am Magnet Man. I think people see you manipulating metal and decide that you're Magnet Man, or they decide that you are Leopard Skin Girl. And Shaenon, your story had so many of my favorite words in it. Avuncular, incunabula. If you had knocked out crepuscular, we would be engaged right now.
I can't believe that I didn't have crepuscular in there because, yeah, all of one's writing is just stuff from H.P. Lovecraft's letters.
Lovecraft and the SAT vocabulary guide, right?
Yeah.
Spectacular stuff. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much.
I love the way stories flow together on this show. As we wrap up, I'd like to point out that next week our readers will be Willow Dawn Becker and Gemma Files. I recommend that you check out storyhour2020.com. That'll list the day of the reading, announcements, changes, upcoming fun stuff. Storyhour2020.com is also a good place to learn about upcoming authors. And you can watch any of the programs that you may have missed at the Story Hour page on Facebook. We know that this hour does not work for everyone. Maybe you're putting your children down. Maybe you're pounding out your genius novel. Catch it later. It will be here. There will be links to it on Twitter. You can find it when you want it. I want to thank Shaenon and Laura for sharing your stories tonight. I want to thank our usual host, Laura Blackwell, who was gracious enough to let me guest host tonight. To Daniel Marcus, creator of Story Hour, and thank all of you, our viewers, for joining us and for spinning the fictive dream. Good night from us at Story Hour.